Admiral James Walker couldn't hide his shock as he entered the enormous chamber of the Galactic Council. The ceiling rose so high it vanished into shadow. Massive pillars carved from glowing blue crystal lined the walls. Everything about this place was designed to make visitors feel tiny, and it was working perfectly. "Don't forget why we came," Walker whispered to his 5-person team. "Earth is depending on us." 37 alien species stared down from elevated platforms as the humans walked to the chamber's center. Some creatures had too many eyes. Others had skin that rippled with color. A few resembled enormous insects. Every single one watched the humans with what felt like icy curiosity. The highest throne belonged to High Chancellor Morkai of the Vex. His gray, wrinkled skin stretched over ancient bones. His impossibly long fingers drummed against his armrest with obvious impatience. The Vex were the galaxy's oldest race, and they acted like they ruled everything. "Humans from Earth," Morkai's voice boomed through the vast space. "Welcome to the community of civilized worlds." Walker gave a respectful nod. "We're grateful for this opportunity. Humanity hopes to build peaceful relationships with all." Yes, Morkai cut him off. "We've drafted the conditions for your entry." A holographic display materialized before Walker. He read quickly, his expression darkening with each line. These weren't partnership terms. They were chains. Earth could colonize only 10 star systems. The human military must shrink by 80%. Earth must surrender 35% of all mining profits as protection payments. Human vessels could only use pre-approved travel lanes. Council observers would monitor all Earth technology. Walker looked up. "These aren't terms for partnership. These are demands for submission." Murmurs that might have been laughter rippled through the alien observers. "Your kind is young and dangerous," said a crimson-skinned alien beside Morkai. "These safeguards protect everyone." Walker stood taller. "Humanity has moved beyond our violent past. We've unified our world and reached for the stars peacefully." "After how many wars?" asked a 4-armed creature. "Your entire history is written in blood." "And yours isn't?" Lisa Grant, Earth's lead diplomat, stepped forward. "Every species has shameful chapters." Morkai raised one elongated hand. "Enough arguing. These conditions are generous for such a primitive species. You should be thankful for our guidance." Walker fought to control his anger. "Guidance from what exactly?" "From the terrors lurking in deep space," Morkai said, his voice suddenly freezing. "There are horrors you cannot comprehend waiting in the darkness. Without our protection, your species wouldn't last 100 years. Walker glanced at his team. They'd come hoping for honest negotiations, not intimidation. "We need time to review these conditions," Walker said carefully. "You have 3 of your Earth days," Morkai replied. "But understand these terms are not subject to major revision." As the human delegation left, Walker felt ice in his veins. He'd expected tough bargaining, not outright threats. The Council didn't want allies. They wanted subjects. Back aboard their vessel, the Earth team assembled in the conference room. "They're not negotiating honestly," Grant said, throwing the data tablet onto the table. "These demands would strangle Earth's growth for generations." Walker stared out at the massive Council station through the viewport. It was unlike anything humans had ever constructed. Proof of technology centuries beyond Earth's grasp. "We need caution," he said quietly, "but we also need readiness. If these are their opening demands, I'm worried about where this leads." He didn't voice what everyone was thinking, that humanity might have to face the entire galaxy alone. But looking at the determined faces around him, he knew one truth absolutely. Humans didn't kneel to bullies, not even ones from distant stars. The 3 days vanished quickly aboard the Council station. The human team spent every available hour analyzing the terms, searching for any negotiation room. They found none. "This is our final session," Admiral Walker told his team as they prepared. "Let's see if they're willing to hear reason." Lisa Grant shook her head. "I've spoken with 6 different Council members privately. Not one would budge even slightly." Walker nodded. He'd expected this, but disappointment still stung. The main chamber seemed even larger than before. Walker noticed more aliens filling the observation galleries. News of the human delegation had spread, and many wanted to witness the newcomers. High Chancellor Morkai gazed down with his yellow eyes. Has Earth considered our generous offer? Walker moved forward. We have, and we've prepared a counteroffer. Surprised murmurs echoed through the chamber. No new species had ever dared propose counterterms. Walker's voice rang out clearly. Earth proposes gradual integration over 50 years. We maintain our military for self-defense. We share scientific discoveries equally. We contribute a fair 10% tax on new colony resources. Complete silence filled the chamber. Then several aliens made sounds Walker interpreted as mocking laughter. A tall, thin alien with sapphire skin stood. This was the Zalari representative, famous for his cutting words. Your species truly doesn't grasp its position, the Zalari said. Your primitive ethical framework makes you believe you deserve equal treatment. How amusing. He continued speaking, each sentence more insulting than the last. He called humans barely evolved primates and fortunate apes who stumbled into space technology. Walker listened silently. Around him, the human team's faces hardened. They'd arrived with hope, but that hope was dying with every word. The Zalari was still speaking when Walker suddenly straightened. Something had shifted in his expression. Enough, he said, his voice slicing through the Zalari's speech. Silence fell again. We came seeking mutual respect and fair conditions, Walker said. You've offered neither. He turned to his team and nodded. Without a word, they began gathering their materials and equipment. Council members watched in confusion as the humans packed up. What are you doing? Morkai demanded. Walker looked up at him. We're leaving. Leaving? The negotiations aren't complete, Morkai said, genuine surprise in his tone. Yes, they are, Walker replied. Earth didn't send us to accept surrender. We came to find friends and partners. Clearly, that's not what the Council offers. The human team formed a line behind Walker and walked toward the exit. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Your species cannot survive alone in this galaxy. Morkai called after them, his voice echoing off the walls. Walker paused at the doorway and turned back. Every alien was watching. We've survived alone our entire existence, he said calmly. We'll manage. The doors sealed behind the humans, leaving the Council in uproar. Back on their ship, the team remained quiet as they prepared to depart. Grant finally broke the silence. Was that wise, Admiral? Walking away from the most powerful organization in the galaxy? Walker gazed at the stars through the viewport. They gave us no choice. They weren't seeking allies. They were seeking servants. Captain Miguel Torres entered the bridge. Orders, sir. Walker's expression was grim but resolute. Set course for Earth, maximum speed. As the ship pulled away from the station, Walker thought about what was coming. The Council wouldn't forget this insult. Earth needed to prepare. What will we tell the President? Grant asked quietly. Walker turned to his team. The truth, that humanity stands alone against the stars and that we need to be ready. The ship jumped to faster than light speed, leaving the Council station behind. None of the humans looked back. Earth would need to transform quickly. But if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was adapting when their survival was threatened. They'll return within one galactic cycle, High Chancellor Morkai said confidently. No species survives alone for long. 2 weeks had passed since the humans departed. The Council had resumed normal business, treating the Earth incident as a minor annoyance. The grand meeting chamber was less crowded today. Only the main Council members attended, representatives of the 12 oldest spacefaring races. They sat in their elevated positions discussing the human departure with minimal concern. Perhaps we should dispatch a small fleet to Earth, suggested the Zalari representative. A demonstration of strength might help them understand reality. Morkai waved a long-fingered hand. Unnecessary. Let them sit alone for a while. Fear will accomplish our work for us. The Vex had controlled the Council for thousands of years. During that time, many new species had joined the galactic community. All eventually accepted Vex leadership, either willingly or through force. Only Tala, representative of the Ardani, seemed troubled. The Ardani had joined the Council only 300 years ago, recently by galactic standards. I've studied human history, she said, her voice soft but clear. They're more adaptable than we might expect. The other Council members turned to look at her. Tala was young by their standards, her blue-gray skin still smooth, her four eyes bright with intelligence. "What do you mean?" asked Morkai, more curious than concerned. Tala stood activating a hologram. It displayed Earth's history, wars, technological leaps, and societal transformations. In just 300 years, they progressed from horse-drawn carriages to spacecraft, she explained. Their entire history shows rapid adaptation to new threats. The Zalari laughed, a hissing sound. Many species develop quickly, then plateau. Humans are no different. Perhaps, Tala conceded, but I recommend caution. Cornered animals are often the most dangerous, Morkai sighed. Your concern is noted, Tala, but unnecessary. Humans will soon learn that survival in this galaxy requires cooperation on our terms. The meeting moved on to other matters. No one paid attention when a junior officer quietly entered and handed a report to Morkai's assistant. Later that day, in his private quarters, Morkai finally read the report. It described unusual activity at human border colonies, increased mining operations, new construction, ships moving in patterns suggesting military training. For a moment, Morkai felt a flicker of concern. Then he dismissed it. What could one young species possibly do that the Council couldn't handle? He placed the report in his low-priority stack and promptly forgot about it. Over the following months, similar reports arrived. All noted the same thing. Earth was busy, unusually busy, and strangely quiet in their communications with other species. Each time, Morkai and the other Council leaders dismissed the reports. The Vex had ruled for 10,000 years. Humans had barely left their planet. There was no comparison. Let them play with their ships and stations, Morkai told the Council when Tala raised concerns again. When resources run low or pirates attack their colonies, they'll come crawling back. What no one on the Council understood was that humans had no intention of crawling anywhere. In a secret facility deep within Earth's moon, Admiral Walker stood before the leadership of Earth's United Nations. The Council gave us 3 options, he said, looking at the serious faces before him. Submit, die, or become strong enough that they must respect us. The President of the United Alliance nodded. Then our path is clear. On screens around the room, plans appeared. New ship designs, weapon systems, defense networks. Many were based on tiny glimpses of Council technology the human delegation had managed to record during their brief visit. How long do we have? Asked the Chinese representative. Walker's face was grim. 6 months, maybe a year, before they notice what we're doing. After that, we need to be ready. Across human space, a quiet revolution was beginning. On Earth and every colony, people worked with a single purpose. The Council had made a critical mistake. They had threatened humanity, and then they had looked away. 6 months passed since the humans departed. The Galactic Council had almost forgotten about them when the first report arrived. High Chancellor, we've lost contact with mining outpost K-12, a Vex officer reported. Morkai barely looked up from his other work. Equipment failure, most likely. Send a maintenance team. 3 days later, the maintenance team arrived at the outpost near the edge of human space. What they found was puzzling. The outpost wasn't damaged, it was simply empty. All the Vex workers were gone, along with key equipment and data cores. The team leader sent his report, which ended with one strange note. Footprints found don't match any known Vex pattern. Before the Council could investigate further, 3 more outposts went silent. Then a research station. Then a small colony. All showed the same pattern. No signs of violence, just hasty evacuation and missing technology. In the Council chamber, the mood had shifted from dismissal to concern. This is no coincidence, Tala said, standing before the other representatives. These facilities are all within 2 jumps of human space, the Zalari representative hissed. Are you suggesting humans are responsible? They don't have the technology to prevent our sensors from detecting their ships. Perhaps they didn't 6 months ago, Tala replied quietly. Morkai finally took the matter seriously when the Zalari's largest trade station near human space went dark. 5,000 Zalari and various other species gone. Enough, he declared. Send the 8th Fleet to the human border. Find out what's happening. Captain Lorax of the Vex military stood on the bridge of the largest warship in the 8th Fleet. 22 vessels moved through space behind him, a show of force that had made many species surrender on sight. We're approaching the last known position of the trade station, his navigator reported. Scan for debris or escape pods, Lorax ordered. Sir, the sensor officer suddenly called out. New contacts ahead. Lorax moved to the view screen. What he saw made him freeze. A line of ships hung in space before them. Not Council ships. Human ships. But these weren't the simple vessels humans had used before. These were massive dark warships with sleek lines and weapon ports glowing with energy. Behind them, half hidden in the shadow of a moon, were orbital platforms bristling with what looked like defense systems. How many? Lorax asked quietly. 43 ships detected, sir, and 18 orbital platforms. More may be hidden. Impossible, Lorax whispered. Humans couldn't have built all this in 6 months. Unless they were building in secret long before they met us, he realized. Sir, we're receiving an automated message from the human fleet. A simple text message appeared on screen. This is United Earth Defense Force Border Patrol. You have entered restricted space. Maintain current position. Do not approach closer than 100,000 kilometers. Lorax's second-in-command, a young Vex named Pax, moved to his side. They're bluffing, Pax said confidently. Those ships probably look more impressive than they are. We should show them what real warships can do. Lorax studied the human formations carefully. Something about them seemed odd, familiar. Those formations, he said slowly. They're similar to our own battle patterns, but with variations I've never seen. Sir, they've been studying us, Lorax realized, watching how we fight. A chill ran down his spine. The Council had dismissed humans as primitive, but these ships told a different story. This wasn't a hastily assembled defense. This was a carefully prepared welcome. Lorax made his decision. We hold position. No aggressive moves. But sir, our orders. Our orders were to investigate, not start a war. Lorax cut him off. As the Council fleet maintained its position, more human ships emerged from behind planets and moons. They took positions in precise formations, their weapon ports glowing but not firing. The message was clear. We are ready for you. Lorax opened a channel to High Chancellor Morkai. The Council needed to know. Humanity was no longer hiding. High Chancellor Morkai paced in the Council chamber, his long robes sweeping the floor. Captain Lorax's report had disturbed him deeply. This is unacceptable, he finally announced. Humans cannot be allowed to build a military presence of this size without Council approval. The 12 senior Council members murmured in agreement. Only Tala remained silent. I authorize a corrective action, Morkai declared. Captain Lorax will demonstrate our power and remind the humans of their place in the galaxy. Back at the border, Lorax received his new orders with a heavy heart. 20 years of military service had taught him to recognize dangerous situations. This was one of them. Sir, the humans have sent a message, his communications officer reported. They say any hostile action will be met with equal force. Lorax nodded. Send the response, the Council ordered. The message was simple. By order of the Galactic Council, human forces must stand down and submit to inspection. Failure to comply will result in immediate action. The humans didn't respond. Move the fleet forward, Lorax ordered reluctantly. Target their lead ship with warning shots only. The massive Council warships advanced toward the human line. Weapon systems powered up, their energy signatures lighting up space. Sir, the sensor officer called. The human ships are changing position. On the view screen, Lorax watched as the human vessels shifted. Some seemed to shimmer and partially disappear from sensors. Others rotated to present different weapon arrays. Fire warning shots, Lorax commanded, 2 kilometers from their flagship. Energy beams lanced out from the Council ships. But something strange happened. The beams curved slightly before reaching their target, missing by much more than 2 kilometers. What happened? Lorax demanded. Before anyone could answer, the sensor officer shouted, Energy spike from human vessels. Space lit up as the human ships opened fire, but not in the way anyone expected. Their weapons didn't fire normal blue-white energy beams. These were different, pulses of green light that seemed to phase in and out of normal space. The first shots hit a Council cruiser. Instead of impacting against its energy shields, they passed right through them like they weren't there. The ship's hull tore open, venting atmosphere into space. "Impossible!" Pax shouted. "Nothing can bypass our shields." But the evidence was right in front of them. 3 more Council ships were hit, their shields useless against the strange human weapons. "Return fire," Lorax ordered, knowing it might be too late. The Council fleet unleashed its full power. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes streaked toward the human line. But most missed their targets completely, as if the human ships weren't quite where they appeared to be. Those shots that did connect revealed another surprise. The human ships had energy shields, technology that should be far beyond their capabilities. Even more shocking, the shields seemed to adapt after each hit, becoming stronger against that specific weapon. "They've been studying our technology," Lorax realized. "Not just copying it, improving it." 7 Council ships were crippled or destroyed in the first 3 minutes of battle. Not a single human vessel showed significant damage. "Retreat," Lorax ordered, swallowing his pride. "All ships, full reverse. Get us out of range." As the Council fleet pulled back, the human ships did not pursue. They remained in their defensive line, weapons ready but no longer firing. In the Council chamber, stunned silence greeted Lorax's battle report. 7 capital ships lost without destroying a single human vessel? The Zalari representative finally asked, his voice no longer confident. "How is this possible?" Tala stood up, her 4 eyes looking at each Council member in turn. "I warned you," she said simply. "We underestimated them." Morkai's hands trembled slightly. For the first time in centuries, he felt something he had almost forgotten. Fear. 2 weeks after the failed attack, border skirmishes spread along human space. Most ended the same way, with Council ships retreating after taking heavy damage. In one battle, something unexpected happened. A human officer was captured when his small scout ship was disabled. The Council military brought him to a secure base for questioning. Lieutenant Tom Wilson sat calmly in the interrogation room. Unlike most captives, he showed no fear of his alien captors. "How did humans advance so quickly?" the Vex interrogator demanded. "Your technology is beyond what should be possible for your species." Wilson simply stared back, silent. After hours of questioning with no results, Tala requested permission to speak with the prisoner. Morkai agreed, desperate for answers. Tala entered the room alone and sat across from Wilson. "I'm not here to threaten you," she said gently. "I truly want to understand." Wilson studied her for a long moment. Something about this 4-eyed alien seemed different from the others. "You really want to know?" he finally asked. "We never wanted war." "Then why prepare for one?" Tala asked. "Because you left us no choice," Wilson replied. When Admiral Walker returned from the peace talks, he brought back more than just rejection. He brought data. Wilson leaned forward. "Our scientists studied the Council station while we were there. We learned 2 important things." Tala waited, her 4 eyes fixed on him. "First, your technology isn't as advanced as you pretend. You've been using the same systems for centuries with little improvement." Wilson's eyes hardened. "Second, and more important, we discovered that the Vex and their closest allies have been holding back other species, keeping them dependent." Tala's breathing quickened. This was something many younger Council species had suspected but could never prove. "How?" she asked quietly. "By controlling access to key resources, by sabotaging independent research, by making newer members think they need Council protection when they don't." Wilson's words hung in the air between them. "We decided that if the Council wouldn't accept us as equals, we would have to protect ourselves," he continued. "But we didn't just build weapons. We reached out." "To whom?" Tala asked, though she already suspected the answer. "To other species like yours. Those who joined the Council recently. Those who are treated as second-class citizens." In the Council chamber, chaos erupted. Tala had shared Wilson's revelations, and several representatives of newer species were demanding answers. "Is it true?" the Ardani representative shouted at Morkai. "Have you been deliberately keeping us technologically dependent?" The Zalari representative stood. "These are human lies. They're trying to divide us." "Then explain why our scientific breakthroughs mysteriously fail whenever we research certain technologies," demanded the Norva representative, another newer species. As accusations flew, an aide rushed into the chamber. "Urgent report," he called over the noise. We're receiving word of uprisings on multiple resource worlds. Morkai's face paled. Which worlds? All of them, Chancellor. Across Council space, the newer species are revolting against Council authority, and they're using weapons. Human weapons. The chamber fell silent. The humans didn't just study our technology, Tala explained into the silence. They shared their innovations with those of us you've kept down for generations. They offered respect instead of dominance. Morkai slowly sat down, the weight of understanding finally hitting him. Humans hadn't been planning for war with the Council. They had been planning a revolution. In his private quarters later, Morkai reviewed reports of Council authority collapsing across multiple sectors. 6 species had already declared independence from Council rule, forming some kind of alliance with humans. A message from Admiral Walker appeared on his screen. You still have a chance for peace, but this time as equals. Morkai closed his eyes. The universe had changed forever, all because the Council had refused to treat one species with respect. 1 year had passed since humans walked away from the peace talks. The galaxy had changed more in that year than in the previous 1,000. Admiral James Walker stood outside the Council chamber, straightening his uniform. With him were representatives from 6 former Council species, who now formed the coalition of independent systems alongside humanity. Are you ready, Admiral? Asked Tala, who had become Earth's strongest ally. Walker nodded. Let's hope they're ready to listen this time. The chamber doors opened. Inside, the room looked the same, but the mood was entirely different. Many seats stood empty. The Vex still led the Council, but their power had shrunk dramatically. High Chancellor Morkai watched as Walker and his allies entered. The human walked with confidence, not the uncertainty of his first visit. Admiral Walker, Morkai said, his voice lacking its former power. The Council welcomes you. Walker looked up at the remaining Council members. I notice your welcome sounds different this time. A few nervous laughs came from the coalition representatives. Much has changed, Morkai admitted. Indeed it had. The Vex-dominated Council had lost half its members to the new coalition. Their trade routes were disrupted. Their resource worlds were in revolt. Their military had suffered defeat after defeat. We're here to discuss terms for peaceful coexistence, Walker said, taking the center position where once he had stood as a supplicant. The coalition has prepared a proposal. A data package was transmitted to each Council member. As they viewed it, their expressions showed surprise. These terms are fair, said the Zalari representative, sounding confused. Did you expect revenge? Walker asked. We don't want war. We never did. We just refuse to be treated as inferiors. Morkai studied the terms carefully. Trade agreements, mutual defense pacts, technology exchange programs, all based on equality, not dominance. Why offer peace now? Morkai asked. You have the advantage. You could demand much more. Walker looked directly at him. Because that's not who we are. Humans have spent too much of our history fighting. We've learned something important. True strength isn't about conquering others. It's about lifting everyone up. The chamber was silent as his words sank in. We've changed too, Tala added. Those of us who joined the coalition found something we never had in the Council. Respect. We work together as equals, and we've advanced more in 1 year than in centuries under your rule. Negotiations continued for hours. When they finished, both sides had agreed to basic terms. A new galactic order was taking shape, one based on cooperation instead of control. As the meeting ended, Morkai asked to speak with Walker privately. In a small room off the main chamber, the ancient Vex looked at the human with new eyes. I must know, he said quietly. How did humans advance so quickly? How did you unite so many species against us? Walker smiled slightly. The answer to both questions is the same. For most of our history, humans fought each other. We were divided by borders, languages, beliefs. We nearly destroyed ourselves multiple times. His eyes met Morkai's. When you threatened us, you gave us something rare, unity of purpose. All humans working together instead of against each other. And when we reached out to other species with respect instead of demands, they joined us willingly. Morkai nodded slowly, finally understanding. We mistook your desire for peace as weakness, he admitted. A common mistake, Walker said. Peace isn't the choice of the weak. It's the wise choice of the strong. As Walker left to rejoin his team, he looked back at the council chamber. The peace that would grow from today wouldn't be perfect. There would be challenges ahead. But for the first time, humans and aliens would face them as equals. All because one delegation had the courage to walk away from bad terms, and the wisdom to return with better ones.